So you say, what are you talking about? And then the arguments begin, because now you're communicating as a different person. You're not communicating with the person you believe you are in your conscious mind. So if you were the child in the store at 6 and you were told you do not deserve, and then you're on your job in a little tiny room doing a little job, and you're thinking, I'm better than this, I should be running the company. And while they're thinking that, they're doing a job. Who's running the job? The subconscious. And what is the subconscious program? You do not deserve, so you make mistakes. How many of you were told you were average students? And then you take an exam, and when you get the test back, you look at a question and said, I knew the answer to that. Why did I mark it wrong? Because the subconscious job is to create the reality of the program. So your life does not reflect what you want. It reflects the program you were given. So one way out is consciousness. Just be conscious, and then you don't play the tape. A second way out, clinical hypnotherapy, because that puts you back in the same brain state that you were in the learning period. And then you can put a new program and rewrite the tape. Yet there is a better and faster way even. There's a group of new psychology modalities called energy psychology. There are many different versions. For example, holographic repatterning, body talk, EMDR, EFT. The one I am most familiar with is Psych-K, Psych-K. These programs are like pushing the record button on the tape player. These programs can change a belief you had your entire life in maybe 15, 20 minutes. Many of them, like Psych-K, create a state of super learning like you were when you were an infant. I am not going to talk about these modalities. On my website, I have a list of all the different ones, most of them now, and you can select that and go to their own website and read about them. Okay, now what I want to talk about is your thoughts go in and adjust your body on the inside, but I'm now going to show you how your thoughts go out and affect your life on the outside. This is an older picture of a new technology called magnetoencephalograph, MEG. EEG, you put wires on your skin and read the brain activity. MEG, the probe does not even touch the head. You can read your brain activity outside of your head. It's not magic. When a nerve carries a signal, it's like an electric wire. It has an electrical component as shown in the black arrows, and so the electric component can be picked up by electrodes on the skin. But when a wire is carrying a current, it also has a magnetic field around it. And in physics, they call it the rule of the right-hand thumb. If my arm is a wire and the current is going from here to here, I take my right hand with my thumb pointing in the direction of the current flow, and my fingers show the polarity of a magnetic field that goes around the wire. The magnetic field passes through the skin. Your thoughts are not contained in your head. This was an experiment by an Indian scientist, Amit Goswami. He was in What the Bleep. He had two people meditate on each of them being present together, and then he separates them by 50 feet. And in one of the people, he flashes a strobe light in his eye very fast. And it causes what they call an evoked potential, a very fast firing of the brain. Well, this one saw the light and had the evoked potential. The other one, 50 feet away, at the same time he had the evoked potential, the other one had an evoked potential and didn't see the light. Because as I talked about yesterday, people are not particles, they're waves. And waves become entangled with each other. The people that you get connected to, you are entangled with. And many people are familiar if you think about someone or talk about someone you haven't seen for years. And I say, oh, I haven't seen my friend John in 10 years. And the phone rings and it's John. Or a letter comes in the mail from John. Most people experience something like this. It's like the placebo nocebo. When you think very positive thoughts of someone, they make an effort to get in touch with you. But it works both ways. If you have a negative thought about somebody, wherever they are, they will create negative talk about you. So it's very important to recognize your thoughts and your judgments are not just connected to you, they're connected to the people you talk about. So in this, people know that if you hit the right frequency, you can cause a crystal goblet to explode. It's called harmonic resonance, or I showed yesterday, constructive interference. When two waves are in phase with each other, remember where they meet, the waves got bigger? Well, atoms vibrate at a frequency, and if I use the same frequency with a tuning fork, constructive interference, and it causes the atoms to spin faster, and then the glass explodes. Now, the question is, in experiment, if I hit the tuning fork, what will happen in this picture? All of them? Only this one. Why? It's interference of the same frequency. Different frequency, it doesn't respond. Now, you are like a tuning fork with your brain, and you're broadcasting frequencies of your thoughts. Which goblet is going to respond to your thoughts? The one that is harmonically resonant with your thoughts. If you live in fear, you're not going to activate the Dalai Lama, but you may get Scarface to show up. So when you are having thoughts, you are exciting and activating those things in the world that are connected to your thoughts. When a mugger is trying to pick out which person he's going to attack, which one of the different people walking down the street, which one do you think gets attacked? The one who is most afraid. Because the one who's most afraid will resonate, and that means that the mugger doesn't have to do anything, go boo, and everyone will give him everything. But while it works for individuals, it is very powerful when a whole group of people have the same thoughts. You can't make a war unless enough people are ready to make a war. I'm going to show a picture of mass action here, and it relates to in New York City, 1 year after 9/11. So this is September 11th, 2002, the 1-year anniversary of 9/11. What was everybody in New York thinking about that day? The winning number, 911. Because we collectively create the reality. When Greg and I were in Australia and met with the knowledge keeper of the Mandaeans, he said that through their practice they see into the future, and they know about Saddam Hussein. They knew about George Bush. And then he said, and the coming war. And Greg said, does that war have to happen? And he had a very wise smile, and he said, no. If the consciousness changes, there won't be a war. And the point is that we are collectively creating the reality, and if we change our beliefs about reality, we change the world with that change. So I'm now going to take the jump because I mentioned I was going to talk about how I became spiritual. And I'm going to talk about cells. I'm going to talk about two identical cells. I chose liver, but it could be muscle, bone, brain, skin. But I wanted two identical types of cells. But this cell belongs to Bruce. And that's your cell, Margaret's cell. No two people are the same. And I say that for a simple reason. If I take my cells and put them into your body, your immune system will say not self and destroy the cells. And if I take your cells and put it into my body, my immune cells will say not self and destroy the foreign cells. So cells have identity. And I say, where is the identity that makes one person different than another person? That's why I chose two identical cells, because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove the color from everything that's the same between the two cells. So where the color is left over is where two cells are different from each other.